So, Bilal, you want to have a baby now.
Yeah, I started buying baby stuff, clothes and stuff.
Shaeeda, you want to put off having a baby.
Listen.
Shaeeda explains why she doesn't want to have a baby with Bilal now, after she gave him that ultimatum that if they don't try to have a baby within 9 months, she's gone. Plus, one of Bilal's best friends joins the show and goes head-to-head with Shaeeda's best friend, Utris.
In certain instances, especially in those that are regarding your husband, why are you talking to somebody who doesn't even have one?
Girl, the shade of it all.
Oh, poor Utris, it was rough for her. But thankfully, things end on a beautiful note, Shaeeda in happy tears.
This is all I ever wanted, I swear.
This was a great episode. Let's get into it. Hey 90 Day Fans fam, it's Melicia. Before we get into Bilal and Shaeeda, we have to talk about a few other must-see moments from part 3 of the tell-all. Y'all, Jenny and Big Ed get into it. And while I don't wish drama for anyone, I could watch these two argue for hours. It's pure comedy. Here's a little background before I show you how it all went down. Big Ed has been receiving a lot of backlash from the cast due to his behavior toward Liz on the tell-all. To sum it up, he's lied to everyone, and then when they pull out receipts, he creates another lie, or all of a sudden he has amnesia.
I don't remember.
At one point when he gets caught in a lie, he asks Liz to give him her engagement ring back on camera.
Let me have my ring back.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
No, Big Ed.
Oh, wow.
Which was extremely distasteful. But what ultimately doesn't make sense is that Liz keeps coming back. It's like she's addicted to the extreme highs and lows of this toxic relationship. The day after Ed asked for the engagement ring back, she came into the studio with another ring on.
Oh, I feel naked without my ring, so I
Oh, you
have
put
a
on
band.
something?
I just feel weird without it. So it's just like, I'm just
Oh, are you serious?
weird, yeah.
Now, Liz, one part of me is like, girl, you need to take responsibility for yourself and snap out of it. Then the other side kind of feels bad for her because she seems to be so used to unstable relationships that she keeps herself in them because they feel normal.
But Liz, you've never been alone.
For sure.
You've always been with a guy.
Definitely a mismatch.
You've always been in toxic, sick relationships.
Based off of my research over the years, if chaos is all you're used to in a relationship, your mind and your body can become addicted to those emotions. And just like any bad habit, it can be hard to break the cycle. But Liz, it's time to muscle up the strength and quit this one. Because like Jenny is about to tell Ed, it's ridiculous. Let's get into their argument.
The problem is denial about
But see,
Rose.
Liz, you can't move on.
And then bring in-
You don't have forgiveness.
As the cast is backstage, Liz and Ed start going back and forth about the same thing, him lying and her not forgiving him for his lies. Liz then storms off. That's when Jenny butts in.
Well, look, she can't even have a conversation.
Well, she's hurt. She's not gonna be
But you're just taking her side. And that's not helping.
The relationship is weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Jenny, so is yours. Come on. First of all, I'll deny to this day that I was in a dating app.
She's hurt, Ed. She's sitting there trying to tell you why she's upset,
first of all,
and you're still
first of all,
attacking her.
stop insulting me. What you said was very rude.
What did I say?
How you responded to me, like, oh, I don't get their relationship. Like, you know what, you don't belittle me and my relationship.
Next, Jovi steps in and tells Ed to watch how he's talking to Jenny.
Be polite. She didn't say anything wrong.
Oh, but
I'm not
you're
the only
listening
one
through
that
your own
feels this
filter.
way, Ed. I'm not the only one.
Well, speak your mind, but own
I
it.
am.
Right.
You were being
Anything to
rude
you.
to me, and I'm just telling you that. That's all I'm saying.
I don't
How you
understand
responded
what
to me,
you guys are doing.
right?
Like, it makes
but
no
the way you said it was
sense.
rude. I'm sorry.
Okay. What the man? This dude is like, you guys, where did you find this guy?
India.
Hell no, they wouldn't even give you a visa.
Jenny from the block came out and I love it. That was such a great comeback.
You guys, where did you find this guy?
India.
Hell no, they wouldn't even give you a visa.
All right, moving on to another moment I want to update you on, Usman and Kim.
We are not together. Not together, no.
Honestly, love Kimberly. But there are certain things we try to work on it, and It didn't work out, so we just have to give it up.
To cut straight to the chase, Usman gets all the heat this episode, which in my opinion, is well deserved.
I hope everyone sees him for what he is. You know what I'm saying? Selfish, narcissistic, and really needs to get his together, for real.
Kim's son Jamal joins the cast on stage and makes a lot of sound points when it comes to Usman's behavior toward his mom.
I think his intentions with my mom were like selfish and narcissistic, because it's like you put her in a position where obviously you knew she was already head over heels for you before y'all were in a relationship, calling her potential and all that bull. So it's like you knew that you had her. And you worked her and broke her down and broke her into pieces, which I said I was gonna have to fix.
We are not talking about that. I am not the one who cannot give the child. Why?
Hey, Usman, please stop over-talking me.
Ooh, okay. Jamal goes on to say that Usman used Kim to stay relevant, which makes a lot of sense.
I applied to be on TV because I love being on TV.
And the majority, if not all the cast, agrees with Jamal's takes.
I think Usman low-key played the out of my mom.
The cast also agrees that Usman is not in love with Kim. He might love her as a friend, but he's not in love with her. Which leads Usman to come up with this BS argument that you couldn't even take seriously.
Kimberly, I love you to death. I think you are in denial.
Yep.
I think Usman, he loves you like a friend and he cares for you, but he's not in love with you. You are in love with him.
But we have sex.
That's not
That
in love.
isn't, that's the not in love.
It's not in love.
How can you have sex with somebody you didn't love?
What?
He's trying to play all of us now.
Usman, she never forced you into this relationship. Like, you could always said no and chose to be with someone else.
Yep.
But you chose to be in it.
It's not making sense to me. You're not talking about that. I did not break up. She break up. We fight, but when we fight, didn't I give you the care you want, Kimberly? We fight, but I always tell you sorry, even if I am wrong or not. I stood by you before my family.
The way it's looking, Usman, you stood by wanting to be on TV and wanting to be famous before your family. Sean goes on to ask Kim if there's any chance of her rekindling things with Usman, and her response just shows how good of a heart she has.
No. At this time, I'm just going to wish him well. I love him, and I'll always support him. I always support his music. I'll always be super fan.
She is better than me. Anything Soulja Boy will be in the trash. Delete, delete.
We'll see what happens later on. I might walk out of this door today and meet the man of my dreams.
Yeah.
Okay? But I will say, I love him. This is just really hard.
Take a breath.
It's really, really hard.
The segment ends with Jamal walking up to his mom while she's in tears and whispering this sweet message to her.
Okay. You'll be okay.
Jamal, we want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. Always good
It
to
was
see
good
you.
to see you again.
Good to see everyone.
Thank you. We know
Bye. See
you
ya.
only want what's best for your mom.
One thing that can feel worse than getting hurt is hurting another person. Usman's definitely done some damage here. And hopefully this teaches him that this is not the Usman show. You're dealing with people's real emotions here that affect their lives. If I had to empathize with him just a bit, I will say, I know from experience, sometimes you meet a great person who is into you romantically, and you might not be into them that way. But because they're so wonderful, you develop love for them, and you end up not wanting to lose them. You also think to yourself, wow, they're so great, I should want to be with this person. I'll admit, it can be a complicated place to be in. But to Jamal's point, you can't be selfish. If you really care about them, you have to let that person go, so they can find someone who can give them what they truly desire. It might hurt their feelings momentarily, but at least they won't lose respect for you. You're doing the right thing. Speaking of doing the right thing, Bilal made things right with his wife Shaeeda this episode. But before we get into his romantic gesture, let's talk about the drama that led up to it.
Shaeeda, you gave Bilal a 9-month ultimatum to start having a family. Where are you on that timeline?
We learned that Bilal is now ready to have a baby with Shaeeda after telling her for months that he wanted to wait a year or two, even though she's almost 40.
Bilal, what made you have this turnaround?
You know, obviously, she's somebody who I want to be with the rest of my life. And I seen how emotional she was. And she's not a crier, usually, but I just, put all that to perspective, obviously what the doctor said, and I was like, let's go ahead and do it.
Well, now that Bilal has had a change of heart, at the top of this week's episode, after all the stress and tears, Shaeeda reveals that she no longer wants to have a baby right now. And she explains why.
I've decided to focus on my business and grounding myself in America. I feel like I'm finally finding myself.
I cannot believe
I'm finally finding myself, and it feels amazing. Like, I want children.
Yes.
Just not immediately right now.
Maybe you want it because he said no, that's how us women are, and then he says okay, then you're like, I got my way, am I right?
Seriously. By the way, this episode with the spotlight not being on Angela, she was super cool, giving good advice and good vibes. Anyway, back to Shaeeda. After she gave that first explanation,
I am the one who normally tells him to wrap it up. I tell him, be cautious.
She goes on to reveal the other reasons why she's now hesitant to have a child with Bilal. And they have to do with trust. Bilal shares that every time he gives Shaeeda money, it's gone very quickly. Basically, it sounds like he doesn't trust her ability to manage money yet.
When it comes to Bilal and finances, he keeps me out of the loop completely.
Do you know how much Bilal makes a year?
I don't have a clue.
What?
Anything.
Yeah, that's wild. For me, that's information I gather while dating someone. When things get serious, of course. If I'm thinking about building with you, I need to know where we both stand.
Yara, do you know how much money Jovi makes?
Yeah, of course I do. I know how much he's spending.
I don't see a problem with opening a bank account. It's very easy.
We have multiple accounts, but they're all joint. Honestly, I feel like when you get married, there should be just total transparency, and you should feel comfortable with absolutely everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to what the money situation has to do with Shaeeda having a baby, she tells Sean, or should I say Yara tells Sean on Shaeeda's behalf, that she doesn't feel comfortable having a baby with Bilal because he doesn't trust her. And in my opinion, it's probably also because Shaeeda doesn't trust him. They're married and she doesn't even know how much money he makes. I could imagine that's scary.
So you don't trust her to be smart with money?
No, it's not that I don't trust. It's that I want to teach her, but when I'm trying to teach her, then I'm lecturing.
Shaeeda goes on to reveal that Bilal can be a bit cheap. Take her example from their movie dates.
You don't even want to buy popcorn.
That's true. I'm not gonna.
He's very thrifty with money. So I'll be packing a Snickers in my bra, something in M&M's in my.
It makes her feel uncomfortable. Like, make her feel uncomfortable.
She loves it. It's fun.
You
It's
don't
fun.
allow
It's fun.
her to buy popcorn at the movie?
We'll go to the gas station. Get some.
Look, it's not my place to talk about how Bilal chooses to manage his finances. I know a lot of people who choose to spend money on the necessities, their appearance in their home, but they choose to save when it comes to frivolous items like popcorn at the movies. At the same time, I can see how Bilal's thriftiness, plus not knowing how much money he makes or having access to his account, can cause Shaeeda to be nervous. There are a lot of secrets here and a lack of trust on both sides. It's like, if you got money, why we can't buy popcorn? That would be my first thought. But like I said, there are some people who operate like that. When it boils down to it, I believe that Bilal loves Shaeeda. I think he wants the best for her. But I'm not sure if he sees her as an equal.
You're being cautious of money, and you're teaching her to be cautious.
Why you need to teach her? She's what, 15 years old? She is a grown-ass woman, and she planning to open her business and bring bread to the table.
No, I know.
Just like he's
No,
doing.
I'm in agreement.
Here's the thing with that. I don't know, like, why does it feel like just because a person is an adult that you can't learn something? But if I teach it to her, then I'm mansplaining again.
Bilal's close friend Chris joins the tell-all and gives his take on Bilal's mansplaining.
If it's a situation that she's unfamiliar with, or he feels like he can, direct her with the right set of information, then why not try to give her, the best chance to win?
Kim was not hearing that. Now this is when it really starts to get juicy. Shaeeda's friend Utris joins the tell-all, and immediately the energy between she and Chris becomes very tense.
I still think basically that, Bilal micromanages a lot and that he's not really like transparent in a lot of things.
What man doesn't want to lead his family? Whatever monitoring he's doing, to make it sound like that's a bad thing, I think that's a mischaracterization of him completely.
Oh, absolutely.
Whatever she wants, she gets.
Utris goes on to say that Shaeeda is willing to learn from Bilal, but the way Bilal goes about teaching her is the problem.
Bilal has already done quite a bit in his life. He's had children, he's had a wife, he's had business, he's done so many things. It's like nobody takes his perspective into an actual account. It's like everything needs to be revolved around the woman, and that's not fair to him.
Okay, Chris,
It's just fair to him as a
let
man.
me
And
tell you
I'm not
something.
saying that her feelings don't matter. I'm not saying that at all.
Because
I'm
that
saying
is how it just
we're
came
not-
across
we're
to
not
me.
gonna
You were
look at
saying
this
as if her
from an
feelings
equitable
doesn't
position.
matter.
If we're not going to look at this from an equitable position, then all we're doing is having a disingenuous conversation about feelings.
He's a smart guy.
Big Ed just heard big words. Chris is making a solid point though. We have to look at both sides. I get that. Sean then brings up Shaeeda and Utris' conversation in New York.
What if he accidentally forgets to take your birth control pills?
When Utris suggested that she stop taking her birth control and essentially trick Bilal into having a baby.
I don't think that was cool. Yeah.
Bilal, of course I'm gonna tell Shaeeda that. Shaeeda wants to have a child, and as far as you're concerned, you have your 2 kids already, you have your wife, and you're happily living your life.
Who said I don't want to have more children though?
No one would, in their right mind, ever give a friend that kind of advice. That is, you don't play around with pregnancy.
Bringing a life into this world, that's some serious stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that was a little shady to say.
In certain instances, especially in those that are regarding your husband, why are you talking to somebody who doesn't even have one?
Ooh, look at Shaeeda's face. I know it's not her fault, but if I was her, I would be thinking, oh, sorry, friend. Sorry I brought you on this show.
Chris, I'm sorry, excuse me, Chris. First of all, let me put you in your place. You are 100% wrong, I'm sorry to tell you.
Tricking your husband into having a child?
Yeah, well...
And are you out there tricking men and just having children off the whim? Are you doing that?
Utris said, I'm turning the other cheek.
Chris, this is what I'm gonna say to you. You speak very carelessly.
I speak very directly because I want to be understood.
Sean asked Utris if she regrets giving Shaeeda that birth control advice, and she says she was just trying to look out for her friend.
How are you here for Shaeeda if you're trying to get her to sabotage her relationship? You want her to be single like you?
Chris, go easy on her.
Bilal will sabotage his marriage all on his own. I don't need to do anything. Shaeeda and Bilal relationship will work because Shaeeda is that type of person to make it work. However, I do not want Shaeeda to do that with the expense of her happiness.
Well, Shaeeda responded to that by saying she is happy.
Expense of your happiness.
I'm happy.
Which put Utris in an even more awkward position. Yeah. After all that back and forth, Sean asked Shaeeda one last time if she still wants to hold off on the baby.
Yeah.
But then Bilal pulls a move that changes everything.
When I think of New York, I don't want us to think about that. I'd rather for us to think about something better.
What's that?
So I want to ask you, would you have my baby? Would you want to go half on the baby?
Oh, how cute.
That is so cute. Oh my God. Oh, if you think I'm cute, you should see my mommy. Oh my God.
Is that a yes?
Shaeeda in tears says yes. And once they sit down, she tells Bilal that this is all she ever wanted.
So, does this change the timeline at all for you?
I think so. I think so.
What a long way you guys have came, you know?
Shaeeda, you're really emotional right now. What are you thinking?
I just hope I'll be able to be a mom and not have to wait too long.
Aw, you'll be the best mama.
I mean, amazing.
Oh, yes.
I I am happy that this has happened because I know that's what Shaeeda always wanted.
Christopher is a wonderful middle name, by the way.
The cast loves Chris. And when it comes to starting to try for that baby, Bilal and Shaeeda said immediately.
It says New York on it, so it has to.
Now, while this was super sweet and romantic, I can't help but wonder if the money issues are out of the window. I'm still a little confused. But maybe Shaeeda's explanations for not wanting to have a baby were just a cover-up to a deeper fear of not being able to conceive.
I just hope I'll be able to be a mom and not have to wait too long.
Maybe. Either way, I'm glad these two found common ground, and hopefully sometime soon, or at the right time, we will get some pregnancy news from Shy and Bilal. Next week is the fourth and final part of the tell-all, and from the looks of the preview, Jenny and Ed get into it again.
You're a crybaby.
You have insulted everybody. What the hell is so perfect about you? Stop it.
You had your turn yesterday. It's not
really?
about you. You
my
had your
turn. My turn is whenever I want to take my turn. My turn is not when you tell me to.
You better tell him, Jenny. All right, 90 Day Fans fam, make sure you stick with ET because we are covering it all. I will see you next time.